Hello and welcome back to Buckle Up. I'm Harry King and this is the KGM Musso, a Korean pickup truck, but is it any good? We'll start as usual with the styling, and I think you've got to agree this has a rather imposing front end. This grille is massive. I do have a problem with the front end of this vehicle, which is the bottom lip is very, very square and actually quite low for a vehicle like this, which means it doesn't have particularly good approach angles. Moving down the side, we get lots more chunky off-road styling. Huge amounts of cladding around the wheel arches. I've got a side step here to help me get in and out, you know. I've also got the trim level written here. It's a Saracen Platinum. It comes on all-terrain tyres. They're 18-inch wheels. These black alloys, I actually like them. And they are handy because you can sort of step on them to get into the bed, which you do need, and I'll tell you why now. You have absolutely no steps to get into the bed here at the back. Even if I open the tailgate, which is slow opening, which is quite nice for a pickup truck, there's not a great way to get all the way into the bed. And actually, the side walls of the bed are pretty darn tall. That's level with my shoulder, which, yeah, makes it tricky to reach things from out of the bed. This one has a fancy electric roll-top cover, which I can make go away with just the push of a button. It reveals enough space for a Euro pallet, and obviously this will take around a ton in the bed, depending on the spec. You can get an extended bed length. You can't get a single or extended cab setup though. You can only get a dual cab, which means come April, this is going to be affected by all those new taxes, unfortunately. But if you need more utility in the bed, that is available. Also, towing. If I flip this back up, you can see this is fitted with a tow bar, and naturally it can tow up to 3,500 kg braked trailer. But it can also do that while hauling a class-leading amount of stuff in the bed. So this vehicle has the highest gross train weight of any pickup truck that's on sale brand new in the United Kingdom. So there you go. If you're a towist who needs lots in the bed, that's probably quite a big thing for you. Let's find out though how much space there is in the back seats. So back here there is a decent amount of room. My knees are a little tight on this seat, which is in my driver position, but I've got plenty of headroom. I don't feel that I'm sat up too upright, and actually the seats are quite nice, soft and comfortable. I do have one big issue with the back seat space. This is the middle seat belt. It is a non-inertia reel lap belt. That wouldn't really have been sufficient in 1990, let alone 2025. I'm not sure what KGM is thinking on that one. Also, these seats, the backs drop to give you access to your warning triangle and your jack, but they don't lift up for any extra hidden storage on the interior, so a little bit of a loss on the practicality there as well. I do have heated seats in the back of here, which is quite nice. Big seat back pockets. I've got air vents, but I don't have any kind of USB-C port here in the centre. Do have an armrest though, so I'll pop that down. 2 cup holders in there as well. Spaces for bottles in the doors and a nice big door pocket otherwise. And I do have Isofix on the outer seats, so you could put small children back here. Just please don't put one in the middle seats. Let's see what it's like in the front. Up here, it's really rather nice indeed. In fact, you'd be mistaken for thinking this was the interior of quite a nice family SUV rather than a pickup truck. I've got this lovely perforated squidgy material on the dashboard, nice piece of fascinating interior trim. I've got soft touch up here. I've got a nice big armrest, heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel. Very luxurious, I would say, especially for a pickup truck. Obviously, way more space than I had in the back. Both driver and passenger seats are electric. Lots of adjustment in the steering wheel as well. I do find that somehow the door isn't quite the right shape. Somehow I have to duck my head in to a big, because it has to pass through this bit. I don't really understand, but yeah, there's just something a bit odd about climbing in and out of the vehicle. But once you're in it, the seating position is very comfortable indeed. Let's talk about technology. I've got a large central display here and a digital driver's display. I've got my climate control separate from the screen, but unfortunately it is all haptic buttons, not proper ones, so it is a bit fiddly to use on the move. proper buttons are quite limited in the cabin. I've got them on the steering wheel for the radio controls and the cruise controls. I've got a couple for my heated and cooled seats, which is nice to have on a proper separate button. And I have a drive mode button that's proper, and my selector for 2 high, 4 high and 4 low, the 4x4 system. I don't have any kind of locking rear differential though. Nice big chunky gear selector though. Helps you feel manly in your big pickup truck. And in terms of practicality, I've got a large center console storage area, 2 cup holders, a sort of cubby space here for my phone, 2 USB-Cs and 2 12-volt sockets, as well as a remote for my roll-top bed cover. There's a full-size glove box, which is really rather big indeed. I've got bottle holders in the door pockets as well as a nice big pocket behind them. And I did just want to call out the sun visors, but unfortunately not for a good reason. They're sort of floppy, so they don't stay up. They fall back down again when you push them forwards, which is, I mean, it's not the end of the world, is it? But I think it's probably worth highlighting. The rest, though, let's find out on the drive. Right then, driving the Musso. Let's start with some basic facts and figures. This has a 2.2 litre 4-cylinder diesel engine mated to an 8-speed automatic gearbox. That makes 202 PS and 440 newton meters of torque, which is sort of mid-range for pickup trucks, upper mid-range. So the most powerful Hilux is about there. Obviously in the Ranger and the Amarok you can't have the V6, but the most powerful of their 4 cylinders is around there. It's more powerful than a D-Max. Should be plenty of grunt if you need to tow 3.5 tons. It gets you down the road in a fairly unfussy way. It's a little noisy, but in the class it's certainly not notable for how noisy it is. The gearbox can jump about a bit when you properly put your foot down, although I do find that's helped if you switch through the drive modes. So if you pop it in power, it'll hold onto a gear for longer and it'll be more eager to change down. Winter is the low traction setting, and then it's got eco, which it gets a bit more confused if you try to drive quickly in eco, but it will get surprisingly good fuel economy. So on a long run I achieved 32 mpg. The press delivery driver said he achieved 39 mpg, which for a vehicle like this is very impressive indeed, although he said he was going very, very steady. I was doing normal motorway speeds. Speaking of normal motorway speeds, here's my first problem about driving the car. This speedo isn't the most accurate, which is weird in a modern car. This overreads by about 4 miles per hour, judging both by my phone satellite connection, but also the car's own sat-nav satellite speedo disagrees with the other speedo by 4 miles per hour. My other downside for driving this car is the ride. Because this has been designed to tow 3.5 tons and have a ton in the bed, it's very stiff at the back, very bouncy at the back when unloaded. Now, if you put 5 people in here and some stuff in the bed, even though obviously I'm not talking about like a ton of sound, I just mean some like normal things, it does start to settle down. If you really load up the bed, it rides really rather well, but it's just too juddery, and I think they've put quite a lot of like damping or like rubber body stops in on between the chassis and the body, because you can feel it all juddering around a little bit too much. It's not, obviously it would be worse to some extent if it was all solidly mounted, but the fact there's all that play means that after you go over a sharp break in the road, it goes which can be quite jarring, and also it will on a broken surface look to bounce about a little bit, especially if you're going around a corner. It's worth bearing in mind if you're driving around without a load. And it's a shame, because this is 100% set up to be a dual-use vehicle. It's really nice in here, nice enough to be a family SUV, and the power's right for a family SUV, gets you down the road no bother, but it also has really impressive towing and carrying capacity. But my problem is I can't see anyone buying this just as a workhorse, because it only comes as a double cab, and the interior is a bit too nice to get it completely caked in mud. I'm sure it would be fine. This comes with a 5-year warranty. It seems very well put together, but it would seem a shame to just absolutely mess up the interior of a vehicle like this. Now, obviously, with the incoming tax changes, the dual-use vehicles are going to suffer for that. So I'm worried that KGM's sitting in a shrinking area of the market potentially, and they don't seem to have a solution. Because I've heard no rumblings of them offering a single cab version of this or a properly stripped out version. I mean, you can get base versions of this with a more stripped out interior and a manual gearbox if you want, but it's a really big cabin and not the biggest bed, and you can only get the biggest bed size on the fancy trim levels. So it's just a bit confused. It's definitely capable of doing real proper work, but it's so nice that it would almost be a shame to do real proper work in it, if that makes sense. Obviously, if you have no qualms about this, if you're happy caking your lovely perforated leather interior in mud, then be my guest. This will serve you well. It's, as I've said, it's fairly economical, strong engine, great towing capabilities, just a slightly broken up ride. I don't like the fact that there's a middle seat belt that isn't a proper seat belt, but as a work vehicle, the bones are there. I think, though, it's time to go back and do a proper conclusion. Right then, down to brass tacks. This is a vehicle that you should go and look at if you tow a lot. It is cheaper than the rivals. I think to get something that tows as well as this, you would be looking at an Land Rover or similar, or the V6 Ranger. So big value for money there. Lovely interior. Very nice place to put your family, provided that you don't have to put anyone in the middle seat in the back. So, as I've highlighted, a couple of drawbacks, but definitely worth checking out, especially at this value. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. You'll find all the links to all of our social medias down in the description. You will also find 2 ways that you can help support Buckle Up. So we have channel memberships over on our main channel. We also have merchandise. Again, link in the description. Tell me what you think about the KGM Musso or Musso. Tell me what you would consider buying. Would you buy this or would you buy a different truck? Let me know. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.